When you start paying attention to the little details that fly under the radar in each episode, you realize there are tons of crazy mysteries hidden inside this colorful world, full of vibrant scenes and charismatic characters. The real question is, have you ever noticed how many bizarre secrets are hiding behind this show that looks so innocent at first glance?
Whoa!
Rock Gazelles. To kick things off with something that always gets fans confused, let's talk about the most stylish and famous band in the entire Peppa Pig universe, the Rock Gazelles. This trio is absolutely incredible. They don't appear often, but whenever they do, they get everyone pumped up with those energetic songs and that super iconic look. But there's one detail that almost nobody notices right away. These gazelles seem to be very closely related to Madame Gazelle. After all, they're the same species, have the same face shape, and even have similar voices. And here's another thing. Madame Gazelle isn't actually called only Madame Gazelle. Her real name, which almost nobody ever mentions, is Gigi. Inside the series, there's a very strong theory that Gigi is the sister of the band members. What makes this theory even more believable are the trophies hanging on their wall. Several gold and silver records, proving their music career is long, successful, and full of achievements. And here comes the most surprising part. The names of the other two gazelles are revealed. The drummer is named Gretel, and the bass player is named Greta. This pretty much screams that Gigi is just a shortened version of Madame Gazelle's full name, which must also start with G, just like her sisters. Meaning, the entire band could actually be part of the Gazelle family. But the teacher's true name is still a mystery that fans can't fully solve. And get ready, because things are about to get even wilder. The Rabbit Sisters. Now let's talk about one of the biggest confusions in the whole show. How many rabbit sisters actually exist? If you've watched several episodes, you've probably noticed that the rabbit family appears at completely different moments and in completely random places, which just makes everyone even more confused. We know that Daddy Rabbit and Mummy Rabbit have 4 kids, Rebecca, Richard, and the twins Rose and Rob. But when the topic is the Rabbit Sisters, things get really crazy. The show makes Miss Rabbit look like someone who works everywhere, like she's a real-life multitasking machine. She lives in England and has been seen as a bus driver, nurse, firefighter, and even a helicopter pilot. Except when Peppa's family travels to France, they run into a perfect copy of Miss Rabbit who does all the same jobs. The only difference, she says she's not the same person and introduces herself as Mademoiselle Lapin, which literally means Miss Rabbit in French. And the weirdest part, besides the translated name, the two are physically identical. Nothing changes at all. Not the ear shape, not the colors, not even the way they talk. So here's the question that was never officially answered. Is there more than one Miss Rabbit? Or did the creators purposely leave this as an eternal mystery in the Peppa universe? Daddy Pig's name. And of course, we can't skip one of the funniest and most mysterious secrets, Daddy Pig's real name. What's wild is that while all the kids have clearly defined names, the parents are almost always called only Mommy and Daddy, as if those were their actual names. But obviously they weren't born with those names, right? The difference is that very few adults in the show have their names revealed. And surprisingly, Daddy Pig is one of the rare characters whose full name appears in an episode. The reveal happens in the Valentine's Day cards episode. Early in the morning, the family is sitting at the table when Mummy Pig reads a card he wrote. And at the end of the card, you can see Daddy Pig's real name. But only if you watch the original English version. When she reads it, it becomes very clear. Signed, Snufflekins. Even though it sounds like a cute nickname, that's actually Daddy Pig's real name. And honestly, Snufflekins makes more sense than Daddy Pig being his real-life name. This detail goes unnoticed by most fans, but it's one of the biggest secrets ever revealed in the entire show. Hamster versus guinea pigs. To start off this part, let's talk about one of the funniest and most ironic details in the whole series, the situation involving hamsters and guinea pigs. If you remember the vet clinic episode, you'll recall that several characters show up with their pets, and one of the most interesting ones is Madame Gazelle, who brings 2 guinea pigs to get checked. But here's the thing, guinea pigs and hamsters in real life look almost identical. They're similar in size, similar in shape, have big cute eyes, and that adorable fluffy look that seems made for memes. And here comes the wild part. Guinea pigs live an average of 8 years, while hamsters live only around 3, meaning Dr. Hamster is treating animals that look almost exactly like her, except they live nearly 3 times longer than she does. It would be hilarious if she were a normal animal. But since we're in Peppa Pig, where everyone behaves like humans, that rule doesn't apply. Just like the other characters, she probably has a human-like lifespan. Still, the detail is hilarious and slips past most people. Houses on hills. Now let's move on to one of the strangest details in the whole show. Practically every house is on top of a huge hill. Everything is up there. Peppa's house, the school, the doctor's office, Granny and Grandpa Pig's house, absolutely everything is built on top of a massive slope. It leaves us wondering why the animators decided to create a town where nobody lives on flat ground. Because of this, several theories popped up. The most popular one claims the town suffers from frequent floods, just like in the flood episode, where we see almost everything underwater. This would explain why Daddy Pig, who the show has already confirmed works as an architect, always builds everything way up high. Just imagine if everyone lived at ground level and a flood like that hit. Nobody would want to lose all their new furniture. So based on the show's logic, this crazy architecture actually makes sense. And it's one of the funniest details to notice. Doctors versus vets. Continuing with the idea that the animals behave like humans, there's a detail that confuses a lot of people. If all the characters are animals, wouldn't all doctors technically be veterinarians? In the show, we see hospitals, ambulances, nurses, doctors, everything just like in real life. And to make things even stranger, some characters also have pets, like Grandpa Pig, who owns a talking parrot that loves showing off. So here's the doubt. When Peppa gets sick and Dr. Brown Bear shows up to take care of her, is he acting as a doctor or a vet, or both at the same time? Because there's also Dr. Hamster, who works at the vet clinic and takes care of pets that don't behave like humans. So the most logical explanation is, doctors treat the humanized animals, while Dr. Hamster treats the animals that behave like real animals. Always 4 p.m. To close this section, there's a small detail most people never notice, but it shows up in tons of episodes. Almost every afternoon scene shows the clock at exactly 4 p.m. This appears when the pig family visits Madame Gazelle's house, and in many other moments too. The animators probably do this to avoid accidentally drawing 4 a.m. and making it seem like the kids are awake before sunrise, because nobody goes to school at 4 in the morning, right? So they just set the hand to 1600 and avoid any confusion. And even though it's simple, it's one of those little secrets that show how Peppa Pig is packed with hidden details you only notice when you pay close attention. Madame Gazelle, a vampire. To start the last stretch with style, let's jump straight into one of the craziest and creepiest mysteries in the entire Peppa Pig universe, the possibility that Madame Gazelle is actually a vampire. Yeah, it might sound like an exaggeration, but once you connect the clues, this mystery starts making a spooky amount of sense. Remember when we mentioned her reaction to seeing carnivores working at the zoo? She was the only one who got extremely nervous around Mr. Lion and the lady crocodile. The most accepted theory is that she's centuries old and still carries memories from a time when animals lived like nature intended, hunting and chasing. Her students, who grew up in a world where everyone gets along, simply don't have those memories. But Madame Gazelle has lived so long that she still keeps this fear deep inside. And here's the creepy part. There's strong proof in the show that she might really be a vampire. The first one appears in the Halloween episode, when Madame Gazelle's reflection doesn't show up in the mirror. But it doesn't stop there. In another scene, she says that bats remind her of her homeland. And let's be honest, what's the most iconic homeland of vampires? Exactly, Transylvania. So the big question is, how did a possibly immortal creature end up working as a school teacher in England? No one ever explained. But the bizarre theory definitely makes the show even more fun. Mr. Lion, a carnivore. Now let's go back to the zoo real quick, because there's another detail that's just as funny as it is strange. Mr. Lion really does seem to be carnivorous inside Peppa's world. In the episode where the kids visit the zoo, the teacher mentions that some animals don't eat vegetables. And that's when Mr. Lion gives a super suspicious smile and calls Madame Gazelle Madame Gnu. The problem? Who is one of the animals lions hunt and devour the most in Africa. Meaning, this is clearly a joke about natural predatory instincts. And the scene even suggests that Mr. Lion briefly felt that instinct kick in. Sure, the show plays this as humor, but let's be real. It's a bit scary to think about that in a kid's show. Even so, it's one of the funniest hidden jokes in the entire series. What's on the barbecue? Here's one of the most disturbing mysteries that keeps fans thinking. What exactly is being served at Daddy Pig's barbecue? This happens in the fire truck episode, when Daddy Pig and his soccer team get together to celebrate. And then things get weird. Among the players, there's a rabbit, a zebra, and a pony. All vegetarians. That's fine, but here's where it gets strange. Mr. Bull and Daddy Pig are there too. And those two represent exactly the animals that humans turn into the world's most common meats, beef and pork. So the unavoidable question is, what kind of barbecue are they making? And honestly, any possible answer is weird. If there's meat, we better not even think about which kind. And if there's no meat at all, then how is it even a barbecue? This mystery is almost like the Krabby Patty situation from SpongeBob, where theoretically, it could be made of crab too. In short, it's best not to overthink this one, or it starts messing with the innocence of a show so many people grew up watching, eating potatoes. And to finish this section with a bang, we need to talk about one of the funniest and most confusing moments ever. The scene where Mr. Potato teaches the kids how to eat vegetables. The episode starts with the pig family watching the show of the most famous talking vegetable around. He explains that everyone needs to exercise and eat veggies. But here's a little detail. Potatoes are vegetables. And not just that, they're the most eaten vegetable in the entire world. When Mr. Potato starts listing the veggies that people should eat, the kids ask, with total innocence, if they should eat potatoes too. And he freezes completely. No reaction at all. This moment makes it clear that Mr. Potato himself had never thought about that, which raises tons of questions about how a vegetable gained life, consciousness, and became a celebrity. After all, he's literally just a potato. And the show has never explained how this character actually works. We're wrapping up this video, but if you love having your mind blown, this is the place to be. That's why we picked 2 great videos for you to click, watch, and, best of all, keep hanging out with us.